to the channel. How are you guys doing? Because I'm doing all right today. My name is Princess China, and if you guys did not know, this is the royalty family. And if you guys are not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you guys are not subscribed to the channel, I don't know what you guys are waiting for or what you guys are doing with your life if you guys are not subscribed with the royalty family, okay? So also, if you guys want to be a part of the notification squad, all you guys got to do is hit that notification bell right there, and that will notify you every time I post a new video, and that will notify me that you guys are part of the notification squad, okay? So today's video is going to be a little different because I realized that you guys love my story time, and I'm glad that you guys love the story time. So I'm going to come back with some more story time. So if you guys are not following my Instagram, I did do a poll on my Instagram. I'll leave them both right here, and I'll also leave them down in the description down below. I did a poll, and basically I posted up 2 story times, and I wanted to see what you guys wanted to hear. So I have posted one that was the time that I got jumped, or the time that I had a stalker calling me from my church. So you guys really like the creepy ones, so that's the story that we're going to be telling today. So today I'm going to be telling the story about the time that I used to receive weird phone calls from my church when I was a kid. I want to say this was 2006 or 7, between those years, because I used to go to church. I used to be an altar server. Well, I used to go to a Catholic church, and I used to be an altar server, and it was just me and a couple of other people that would be in the altar server. So it was like an altar server. I don't know if you guys know what an altar server is. An altar server is the people that help the priest during the whole how do we say, the whole mass. So I was an altar server, and there's like a couple of other people that were altar servers. My sister was an altar server. One of my friends was an altar server. So basically, I used to be the altar server, and I used to be in church literally every day, like from like Sunday to Saturday. It was like faithfully at church, because once you're an altar server, you have to come to all the meetings that happen after church. You have to go to all the meetings before church, after church, during church, because sometimes it will be holding a meeting during church, like in between the masses. So you had to be there at all times. There was no excuses on why you weren't there. There was no excuses on why you never arrived. Like, if you couldn't make it in, you had to at least let them know like 2 days prior to anything, because they would have to replace you with somebody else. So we were doing this whole I want to say this was Palm Sunday, because that's when it all started. I think it was Palm Sunday. I forgot which one it was, but I've been at church literally that day 3 times. I had to be at church 3 times that day, because I had to do a mass in the morning, then they had another mass in the afternoon, and then I also had to do the mass at night. So as I went, everything was cool. I went through the whole mass perfectly fine, and I got home, and it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I got this phone call, and basically this was my face. My mom passes me the phone. Well, I don't know if it was my mom or my dad. I forgot who it was, but somebody passed me the phone and was like, "This is a phone call for you." So I was like, "Hello?" And then all I can hear in my ear was a guy whispering, "You're so beautiful. I saw what you was wearing today with your pretty dress and your long legs. You know what I would do with them long legs." And after that, bro, I got so scared. When I tell you I was shook, I was just like, my whole face was like, and he just kept whispering things in my ear and saying things that only somebody would know, because it's crazy, because he specifically told me what dress I was wearing that day, what shoes I was wearing that day, how my hairstyle was, and how beautiful I looked. You guys, I'm not gonna hold you. That's not the first time that ever happened to me. This happened to me many times, but I felt so scared and paranoid because this was a church, and I didn't go nowhere. I didn't have friends like that. I didn't have nobody that knew my house number like that. And the only person that would know something like that would be somebody at a church. So when he was specifically telling me that, I literally hung up the phone right away, and I got panicked. I started to panic, and my mom saw my face, and my mom was like, "What's wrong?" And I was explaining to her what this guy was saying, and what he said he was going to do to me, because this man was just saying so many things about me and saying things that he was going to do, and how he said that he was going to come behind, because when we, usually before the church, like, okay, so like for example, this is like where the altar is at, and behind me there will be like a wall, so it's like you can like walk behind the wall and come like through the other side. So he will basically tell me how he's gonna come into the back room that we have. It's like, how would you know that we have a back room unless you've been going to that church for like the longest and whatnot? Because if you're new at the church, you wouldn't really know so much about the back room, because you're supposed to like, how do I say it, oh my gosh. So for someone to know what the back room is, you have to have been in that church for a long time, because that's literally a back room that nobody knows about. So when I heard him say that he was going to take me to that back room, I bugged out and I hung up the phone, you guys. So I explained to my mom everything that this guy was saying and what he said he was going to do to me. And I told my mom that I didn't want to go to church. Like, I literally did not want to return back to church, because I literally had to go to church later that night, and I was literally scared. So my mom told me that I didn't have to go if I didn't want to go and I felt uncomfortable, so you don't have to go. So I told my mom that I did not want to go. So what we did do was that we went to the church, and come to find out, I wasn't the only girl that was getting harassed through the phone by somebody in the church. Because I keep saying somebody in the church because something is just telling me that there's somebody in that church that was just trying to come, and either they were just trying to be funny with me or they were trying to be serious. It doesn't matter if he was trying to be funny or serious. You don't play around with the child's life like that, especially a little girl. I want to say, I think I was only like 13 or 14 at the time. So I was really nervous, and I am an imaginary. I have a very wild imagination sometimes, and especially now before as a kid and now as an adult, like now my imaginary like flies. It like literally flies all over the place. But as a kid, my mind was just playing all these scenarios in my head on what would literally happen to me if I went to church. So my parents took me to the church to go talk to the priest, because we didn't know what was going on. And then come to find out, I wasn't the only girl that was getting harassed through the phone. And it was one of my friends, which I'm going to name her, we'll just call her Anne. It was me, Anne, and another girl named, let's call her Marley. So it was me, Anne and Marley. So it was all three of us, and it's just 3 girls. Mind you, there's like 5 of us girl altar servers, and you decide to pick these 3 altar servers out of all of them. So we were literally all there, and we was literally all waiting for the priest, our father, that like, we call him father, but like the priest that basically controlled us, because we were his little, that kind of sounds wrong. So the priest he's like the leader of the altar servers, okay? So we came to talk to him, because we feel like if there's somebody in this church that's doing something, somebody must know who got the phone number, who got our phone number, how they got our phone number, how they know what we look like, how they know what our schedule is, and how they know all our, basically everything. How would you know everything about us? And it's like, nobody, it had to be somebody from that church, and nobody wanted to speak up. And I just kept telling the girls like, yo, this is weird. Like, how is it only us 3 that's getting these phone calls? And the priest's assistant said that she never gave nobody our phone numbers. The priest said that he never gave nobody our phone numbers. So how did this person get our phone number? Because it had to be somebody from this church. And I keep saying 1,000 times up to this day, you guys, like literally. So I would literally go to church every day. And anyways, literally, so the priest said that our after we got into like interaction with our priest, he was basically explaining to us how we're not the only people going through this, that there's other altar servers that's going through the same thing, and that he said, if you want, you can like leave the situation alone, or if you want, we can investigate the situation. And at the time, I just wanted everything to be done with, because I was literally getting phone calls every day, you guys, like literally every day. Like every time I would go to church, and like hours later, I get a phone call to my house talking about how beautiful I am and how my things, inappropriate things that I do not want to talk about, because things like that, you shouldn't be telling a kid that, because like that's inappropriate. And then a sanctuary that you're gonna go and talk all these nasty things to these altar server girls that are like praising the Lord. You over here being nasty in the Lord's house. So basically, after that whole situation, my mom was like, it's totally up to you on what you want to do, because if you feel scared, because I used to go to church mad scared. Like, I would ask my dad to stay at the church with us, because like that's how terrified I was. My dad usually would leave us off because we would have like Sunday school. So Sunday school would start like around 9 o'clock. So we would get there like around like 8:50. Then when it gets to 9 o'clock, we would go inside the church. And then from 10 o'clock to 12 will be classes. And then classes, after the classes, if you were an altar server, you had to leave class 15 minutes early so that you can go downstairs to the mass, back to church, so that you can get ready for your church. And all I know is that I was the only altar server there, and I was confused, and I was wondering where Anna and Marley was at. And come to find out, Anna and Marley quit altar serving because of what happened, because they were still receiving freaking phone calls. I was still receiving phone calls too, but I was trying to ignore them as much as possible. But like it got way out of hand, you guys. Like it started getting to the point where he started saying sexual things and things that made me feel uncomfortable, and the way that he would like breathe on the phone made me feel unsafe, making me feel like I should never come back to this church, making me feel like it's somebody in the church that's watching me, that's trying to harm me. And till this day, I still don't know who did it. And I just keep thinking in the back of my mind, it's somebody that used to work in that church, or somebody that worked in that church. Because that's the, I don't know. Because when I used to even tell my priest, I know it's going to sound really crazy, but it could have been him for all I know. For all we've known, actually, because he never really came up with any kind of solutions to anything. He would just keep telling us to come to church and come back. It's totally up to you guys, but I would love for you guys to come back, blah, 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 blah. And silly me, I didn't listen. I wasn't as smart as Anna and Marley, who freaking left. Like, they came to church, but like, they be in the audience. Ain't nobody gonna be watching them on stage. Like, everybody's watching me. Everybody's watching me on the freaking, how do I say? I forgot what you call them. The altar, excuse me. Set up the altar. Everybody, I'm right on the altar. Like, this is the priest. This is me. And then we have like 2 extra chairs because Anna and Marley ain't here and they left me. But yeah, basically, guys, I had a really long stalker for a very long time at church, and it didn't stop until I stopped going to church. And it stuck because I did like my church that I was going to, but I wasn't going to risk my life to go to church for somebody that's not even going to church for a good reason. Somebody that's coming to church to be nasty. Somebody's coming to church to freaking watch little children's and all these other things. This is what you don't do at church, guys. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the story, you guys. I was just getting harassed my entire life for like, I want to say like a year. A whole year, you guys. So I have not went to that church in a long time. Thank you for coming back to the channel, you guys. You guys know that I love you guys so much, and thank you for participating and staying with me during story time. And if you guys do want to see more story time, give this video a big thumbs up. And if you guys want, and if you guys like this video, go ahead and share that with your friends, with your family, your Uncle Joe, your mama, Tom, Billy, you know, everybody. So yeah, and if you guys are not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So you guys want to be a part of the royalty family members, okay? So thank you so much, and I love you guys from the moon and back into the stars and Pluto and Venus and Mars, and you guys already know all the planets that I guys love you from, okay? So, and I'll see you guys next time. bye.